Know what the future holds, step into faith. Join Apostle Marcel Chiatim and get to understand the voice of God about your life, nation, and the world. Nelcom TV. Our heavenly frequency. On the 22nd of November 2020, during the Sunday service at the New Light Covenant Ministry, the man of God Apostle Marcel Chiatim gave a prophetic message concerning the youths. He said, there will be youth war across different parts of the world. Let's swatch.
2021 will be more tougher than 2020.
2021 sera pire que 2020.
Every nation will experience opposition.
Toutes nations vont expérimenter les oppositions.
People will pick up arms.
Les gens vont ramasser les armes.
Commit the youth.
Remettez la jeunesse
into prayer.
En prière.
Pray for them.
Priez pour eux.
We don't want blood.
On ne veut pas le sang.
We don't want to hear sound of gun.
On ne veut pas entendre les bruits des armes.
We don't want to see innocent souls dying.
On ne veut pas voir les gens mourir.
Pray for them.
Priez pour eux, pouvoir.
In Jesus Christ's name we pray.
Amen.
On the 31st of January 2020 during the crossover night, the man of God Apostle Marcel Chiatim repeated the prophecy again. And this time he emphasized that the challenge every nation will face in 2021 is youth war. These were his words.
There is a challenge almost every nation will face in 2021. On the third day in the mountain, I saw a word, youth war, youth war, youth war. Youth war, youth war. So we have to commit the youth in prayer. The word is pregnant, but I will not explain it here. I have highlighted it for you. Youth war. Write it down. It will happen in almost every nation.
Senegal's main opposition leader was arrested on Wednesday after hundreds of his supporters clashed with police while protesting a rape accusation against him. An employee at a beauty salon accused Ousmane Sonko of rape last month. He was summoned for questioning after his parliamentary immunity was removed last week. Former tax inspector Sonko, who enjoys significant support among younger Senegalese, has denied the allegation.
There is a challenge almost every nation will face in 2021. Youth war, youth war, youth war.
But for these young men, the curfew and this crisis have become an excuse to take over the city streets, like here in Rotterdam. Outnumbered, police had to witness how shops were looted and destroyed. The same happened in a dozen other towns and cities across the country. The Netherlands has had a more relaxed approach in dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic compared to other countries, stressing the Dutch are too attached to their freedoms. But with infections still high and growing concern over new variants, their corona measures have now become among the strictest in the world. What started as protests against the curfew have quickly turned violent and chaotic. They may have seen little to do with corona measures, but they might have been fed by a growing feeling of distrust against the government.
There is a challenge almost every nation will face in 2021. Youth war, youth war, youth war.
The United Nations says 38 people have been killed during protests in Myanmar in the worst day of violence since the military coup last month. Security forces opened fire on large crowds in several cities across the country, despite the growing international condemnation.
This was 19-year-old Jen Sin today in Mandalay. Her T-shirt reads, "Everything will be okay," but she also carried a label with her blood group in case she was hurt. She was killed when a bullet struck her head. Here in the city of Monewa, the police were filmed as they dragged away another victim. The conflict in Myanmar is now a battle for control of individual neighbourhoods. Here, the protest organisers use fire extinguishers to obscure the view, to try to avoid being shot. Because that is what the military government is prepared to do to reassert its control.
There is a challenge almost every nation will face in 2021. Youth war, youth war, youth war.
Clashes between protesters and the police have been ongoing in Haiti for the past weeks. The opposition in the country says President Jovenel Moïse's mandate ended on February 7th, while the government says it has one more year left. The discussion is over when his term began. Moïse took office in 2017 because of the political instability in the country. But protesters say the constitution says something else.
There is a challenge almost every nation will face in 2021. Youth war, youth war, youth war.
Now, a mass demonstration against lockdown has taken place in central London as dozens of MPs urge the government to change the law to allow peaceful protest. Police say thousands have taken to the streets, with some being detained. Our Home Affairs correspondent Tom Simons has more.
A year since the lockdown became a part of our lives, thousands took to the streets to protest against it. They called it a vigil for the voiceless, a loose coalition of people, as many views as there were placards. Those views include a long list of conspiracy theories. Perhaps one thing united them, a feeling that individual rights have been a casualty of the battle against COVID, including the right to protest.
There is a challenge almost every nation will face in 2021. Youth war, youth war, youth war.
Checking with ENCA's Slindelo Masikane, who is in Braamfontein with students marching there, many of them from Wits University. What is the latest that you have for us at the moment, Slee? The march happening in Braamfontein and not inside campus.
Yes, Silas, we're now on the streets of Braamfontein, making our way up Jorrison Street, and students just came out moments ago, and as you've stated before, is that today's supposed to be a national shutdown, and what we are seeing is that they are making sure that they are walking around the streets of Bam, shutting down businesses. They have stated before that they want the cities where all the universities are based to be ungovernable. As you can see right now, shops are closing and students are ensuring. See some of the students entering the shops, insisting that customers come out.
There is a challenge almost every nation will face in 2021. Youth war, youth war, youth war.
The heart of Melbourne has been brought to a standstill by demonstrators furiously objecting the rollout of the COVID vaccine and calling for the Premier's resignation. Police quickly arrested a handful of troublemakers, and Emily Rice was there.
As Victoria Police form a barricade around State Parliament, some irate demonstrators allegedly attempt to cross the line. Are you kidding me? But officers pull no punches, quickly detaining one man who was escorted from the rally for further questioning. Hundreds of vaccine and COVID policy critics had earlier assembled in Flagstaff Gardens, where the first arrest of the day was made. As an agitated woman is led away, organisers are unperturbed, continuing to voice their opinions and opposition to various pandemic policies.
We gathered here today because of the lies that have been told to us for way too long.
They soon moved on, and police were on guard every step of the way as the angry mob slowly snaked through the city.
There is a challenge almost every nation will face in 2021. Youth war, youth war, youth war.
A crowd seething with anger in front of the Tunisian parliament. Hundreds gathered, heeding the call of dozens of NGOs to make their voices heard. They came to protest police violence after a heavy clampdown on demonstrations against inequality and corruption in poor parts of the country.
Thank you for watching Nowcom TV. Right now, are you grateful for what God has done in your life? Go now to www.nowcomtv.org and share your testimony with us.